lots of different things which we could talk about today. But let's start with the Nicola Bulley, the missing person, and the police press conference from 36 hours ago, which has caused a bit of a storm. Were you surprised that the female police detectives leading the case chose to be so open, and in particular about linking her disappearance to the menopause?
I was surprised about that. That is very personal information about an individual, a victim of the inquiry that's currently going on. And that's why I think some people have seen this potentially as victim blaming. They've questioned why, if this was important information for the inquiry, it wasn't issued earlier. And some, and I'm not saying I necessarily agree with this, have seen it as a sort of diverting attention away from the apparent failure to make much success in finding Nicola up to this point. And that's why I wasn't that surprised that the Home Secretary had asked the police for an explanation about why they had done that. And it's interesting, of course, that, you know, she's then made clear through her spokespeople that, of course, this is a job, you know, it's Lancashire Police are independent and it's up to them. But if the Home Secretary asks the police force for an explanation, that's an implication that she has concerns about what's happening and why they've taken that particular
Can you
course.
remember ever having to step in yourself in criminal cases, or not criminal, but, you know, police investigation, as it were? I mean, is that how unusual is it for a Home Secretary to take that step? Well,
I think it's quite unusual to take it and make it known that you've taken it, and that, of course, is what brings pressure on the police force. You would, if it was a very high-profile investigation into a crime, you would probably expect to be kept updated by the police force, but not to do it publicly in that way, which is essentially Suella Braverman saying, I think this is a bit weird as well, and therefore I'm expecting an explanation from the police force.
And I think some of the upset from a lot of my female friends who, you know, are talking about it is that, as you say, it's sort of... I think perhaps it's one of those things where it doesn't appear to help the search. How does this information in itself, in and of itself, help locate her? And some of my friends aren't saying, it looks like Lancashire Police are just trying to cover their backs by saying, this is what... You know, it looks like that they are trying to give a reason now, many, many days later, for why they've taken the decisions they've taken, Ian.
I think that's absolutely right, and people are rightly suspicious of that, because there's an article in the Mail, you've got it in front of you there. Somebody says, this is what the Met did to me, when I don't think it's totally similar circumstances, but I was victim blamed, basically, for them to cover their backs. And given that the police have had not Lancashire Police, but the police in general, over the last few years, have had there's been so many occasions when their conduct has been questioned, and so they rightly get defensive. Now, Lancashire Police have gone out on the front foot now on this, but like everyone else, I can't see how this helps find Nikki.
No, I mean, what's interesting is in the family's statement, they have gone to lengths to say about their relationship with the police liaison officer, which I think some people... In fact, I was one of those yesterday, questioning Dal Barbu, a former police chief superintendent, about whether there appeared to be a difference between how the family felt that the search should be going, as in they didn't want it to be ruled out so early, or at least put in third place that there could be a third-party involvement. They didn't want it to be left as a sort of afterthought. They wanted that to be front and centre of there could be something else happening here other than that she's just walked off.
The trouble is here, Manvit, is that you and I, we interview all of these ex-police officers. They don't know, actually, any more than we do. And we all have to avoid the trap of too much speculation, too much uninformed speculation. Well, we don't know. I mean, the Lancashire Police may have the best of reasons for making this public, which they can't say. We don't know that.
We don't know that.
We'll only know at the end when it is resolved.
When it was resolved, just to be clear, so they say, the family say in their statement, despite what some media outlets and individuals are suggesting, we have been... and are being updated daily and receive support from our family liaison officers. And so that is a sort of support of what's happening.
Should we move on, because there's so many things to talk about.